Hi friends, thank you so much for being here. Today's video is going to be your ultimate cruelty-free makeup guide for Sephora. I have done a couple of these in the past before for Ulta that I will link right here, but just in case if you prefer Sephora or if you don't have access to an Ulta, this is going to be your ultimate guide for all of the best cruelty-free makeup at Sephora. Now listen, I am always going to be an Ulta girly, hands down. I prefer Ulta, but I think it would be very helpful to share cruelty-free makeup available at Sephora, and I urge you, if you haven't already, to go cruelty-free with not just your makeup, but your body care, your skin care, your fragrance, everything. On this channel, that is what we focus on, is cruelty-free makeup and other things. Also, a couple of updates on my channel. I finally made playlists for almost every single video on my channel has now been placed into a corresponding playlist. So when you go to the playlist tab on my channel, you will see a bunch of different playlists that will help you easily access whether you're looking for tutorials, reviews, shop my stash, all of that. I have organized everything, including this video will be underneath a playlist. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started on all of the cruelty-free makeup that I recommend at Sephora. This video is going to be a longer one. Timestamps will be below, but also chapters will be along the bottom of the screen. If you want to skip ahead, that is fine by me. Now, the website that I use as my resource to find out which brands are cruelty-free or not, to get updated news on what brands are doing with their cruelty-free status, is crueltyfreekitty.com. I also love ethicalelephant.com. Both of those websites I use and trust to find what is cruelty-free and what isn't. I'm going to name off almost all of the cruelty-free makeup brands at Sephora. These are just the ones that I am familiar with or that I recommend, starting in alphabetical order with ABH, Bare Minerals, Beautyblender, Buxom, Cali Ray, Charlotte Tilbury, Danessa Myricks, Fenty Beauty, Freck Beauty. Now, I am including Glow Recipe in here just because they recently announced that they are coming out with serum blushes, so they are branching a little bit into color cosmetics, so that's why I'm including Glow Recipe in this. Next is Hourglass, Huda Beauty, Ilia, It Cosmetics, Kaja, Kosas, KVD Vegan Beauty, Lawless, LYS Beauty, Makeup by Mario, Merit, Milk Makeup, Natasha Denona, One Size, Patrick Ta, Rare Beauty, Refi, RMS Beauty, Say, Smashbox, Stila, Too Faced, Tower 28, and Urban Decay. Out of those makeup brands, here are my favorite out of that list, starting with Fenty Beauty, Huda Beauty, Kosas, Milk Makeup, Natasha Denona, Rare Beauty, Say, Tower 28, and Urban Decay. These recommendations are going to be catered towards my preferences, which is someone with dry skin, acne-prone skin, and someone who is very, very picky about ingredients in my products. Starting off with face primer, I have 3 to share with you. I only have 1 currently in my collection, so I'll go ahead and talk about the Danessa Myricks Yummy Skin Glow Serum. It just smooths out the skin, hydrates the skin so that it's not dry and crusty, and so that makeup isn't falling into those dry areas. I love that this doesn't feel greasy, and it's very, very glowy, but it is not glittery or gritty at all. I have the shade Main Squeeze, and it is extremely hydrating. It feels like a serum. It does smell like cantaloupe. It does have a slight fragrance. Next, primer is technically not a primer, but I used to use this all the time as a primer. It is the Glow Recipe Niacinamide Dew Drops. Now, these are the Hue Drops that I have. I currently don't have the Dew Drops. Now, I don't recommend the Hue Drops at all. I do think this is a waste of money, but the Dew Drops are fantastic for dry skin, and very similarly to Danessa Myricks, it's great for preventing any creases like in these foldy parts of the face. Also, really great thing about this as a primer is that it doesn't pill. So if you're wearing certain sunscreens can tend to pill when mixing with primers, this one does not pill. And last face primer recommendation is the classic OG Smashbox Original Photo Finish Smooth and Blur Primer. If you're someone who has large pores, if you're someone that just feels like your makeup is always creasing no matter what, this Smashbox Original Photo Finish Primer is still the best primer that I have ever found to prevent cracking. On to foundation, starting with the one that I am wearing today and that I've been wearing almost non-stop for the past couple of weeks. This is the Beautyblender Bounce Skin Tint. Now, if you look on Sephora, it is discounted. It is like 50% off right now. A lot of the shades are sold out. I don't think this is being discontinued. I think that they're just clearing out the stock. They might be reformulating or redoing the packaging. There could be a whole bunch of reasons of why it's on sale right now. If you like the Fenty Beauty Soft Lit Foundation, which is going to be my next foundation recommendation, this is a even lighter, thinner version of the Fenty Beauty one. And this is just incredibly thin. It barely creases in my smile lines, even when I don't use a primer. It has great coverage. It literally feels like nothing. I often forget that I'm wearing this foundation. This is just so underrated, great for dry skin, even oily skin. I think as long as you prep with a suitable primer, maybe like a mattifying or pore filling primer, you would also love this. And as always, if you're wondering what shades I use in foundations or skin tints, I leave them in the description box of every single one of my videos. Next is the Fenty Beauty Soft Lit Foundation. This was my favorite foundation discovery of last year. It is my top 3 favorite foundations of all time. It grips to the skin so well, even if you have dry skin. This does not look dry on my skin. It does not become dry over time. It never feels tight or crackly at all. Amazing coverage. I do have a review on my channel of this foundation. It's a little short if you want to go check out a wear test. And lastly, another foundation that I've spoken to death about on my channel, but I just will continue to rave about. I feel like this is so underrated. The IT Cosmetics CC Plus Nude Glow. If you want your skin to be fresh, juicy, youthful looking even, this is the foundation. Now, out of all 3 of these, I do not recommend this for oily skin. Oily skin, you're going to hate this. This is one of the best foundations for not settling into any fine lines, for not creasing on the face. I love this for the summer. Next, it's concealer. Let's get my number 1 favorite one out of the way. Of course, it's going to be the Tower 28 Swipe All Over Hydrating Serum Concealer. This truly does it all. It's hydrating, it's serum-like, extremely thin under the eyes, and it barely creases. It does partially set itself, not as much as the Huda Beauty Faux Filter or other like truly self-setting concealers, but this has such great longevity. It is the concealer I'm wearing underneath my eyes and the concealer I'm wearing in all of my videos. It looks like skin, it blends seamlessly, but it doesn't slip around. And speaking of the Huda Beauty concealer, I am also wearing this underneath my eyes. I've been mixing it in with the Tower 28 concealer in the winter time. Those two together create my perfect shade and also longevity and finish underneath the eyes. Now, if you have dry skin, you might think something like this, something that's self-setting, more matte, very thin, is going to be horrible underneath your eyes, but this is just like magic. It does not pick up on any texture, on any dryness. It does not set down and look dry ever, even if you haven't properly moisturized underneath your eyes. This has incredible coverage, so I think honestly anyone of any skin type could use this concealer. And my last recommendation is an old favorite. I've been speaking about this concealer for like 3 years on my channel, and it is the LYS Triple Fix Brightening Concealer. This is also super underrated. I barely hear anyone talk about this concealer. The texture falls somewhere in between the Huda Beauty and the Tower 28. It's very thin, but super impactful, but not heavy whatsoever. Out of the 3 of these, this is going to be the most brightening concealer. The undertones are amazing, especially if you're like tan to deep. This one also is self-setting, but out of the 3 of these, this does crease the most. I do think with this one, you definitely should set with some kind of powder. I have 3 bronzers to share with you, starting off with what has been my latest obsession for cream/liquid bronzers, and it is the Say Dew Bronze, you guys. This is so good. It has the perfect undertone. I do use the shade Spritz. I do have an olive undertone, and this has a little bit of red to it, so I just feel like it is so complimentary on my skin tone. It has a beautiful shine to it, but it doesn't feel sticky. Like, my hair never sticks to it. And once you thin it out, it does have a good grip to the skin. If you're going to pick any of these bronzer recommendations, let it be these Milk Makeup sticks, both their matte cream bronzer stick and also their contour sculpt sticks. These have been favorites of mine for years. I'm wearing the bronzer today. It just blends effortlessly. I could literally blend this with my eyes closed. This is my favorite contour ever that I've tried. I am wearing it on my nose. This is my favorite product to use for my nose contour. These have great grip and they look super juicy, almost like a little bit too juicy. Like, someone with oily skin, I could definitely see you looking at that and being like, ooh, I don't know if that's gonna work for me. But just like the Say, once you blend it out, it has a great grip to the skin. It's not going to slide around. Even if you're sweating, it's not going to like dissolve from the sweat. And these have the best shade ranges for deep skin tones, like one of the best that I've ever seen, especially at Sephora. So if you struggle finding contours and bronzers that don't look ashy, that actually show up and add depth to your skin, check these out. And my last recommendation is the Makeup by Mario Soft Sculpt Skin Enhancer. Now, I only recommend this for someone who is into that minimal/no makeup look. It is extremely subtle but effortless in the way that it enhances your natural bone structure. It is a very unique product. It is extremely balmy but see-through. So this is definitely not going to be for the girlies that love a full glam, full coverage kind of look. For highlighter, can you believe that I have 4 highlighters to talk about? As someone who claims to like not really be into highlighter right now, I have a lot of things to say about highlighters at Sephora. Starting off with the powder highlight recommendations, a classic OG Smashbox X Becca Shimmering Skin Perfectors. This is super impactful without being chalky, without looking ashy, without looking dry. And this can be super blinding 2016 if you want, or you can sheer it out. It's very similar to my next recommendation, which is the Fenty Beauty Demi Glow highlighter. Now, this is technically limited edition, but we'll see about that. The only con about this product is that it is very prone to breaking because this is a very soft to the touch, super soft, super silky. It looks like you put on a cream highlighter. There she is. But it's a powder. It is so polished looking and pearlescent looking, and again, without making your skin look dry. It does not enhance texture, even more so than the Smashbox one. The next 2 are liquid highlights, and this was my favorite highlighter of 2023. It made it to my best of makeup, and it is the Rare Beauty Positive Light Liquid Luminizer. This is the highlighter that I'm wearing today. This is going to be for the natural girlies. Like, you still want to wear highlighter, or maybe you like to mix in with like your bronzer or your blush to make those products glowy. This is definitely the kind of product that I would recommend. The only downside is this is a very oily kind of texture. So whenever I am wearing other cheek products alongside this, I have to put this one on first. If you put this on top of your bronzer or blush, it is going to break it down and disrupt those products. I also find that you can only blend this out with your fingers. I've tried it with a sponge, I've tried it with a brush, and for some reason it just want to pick up on itself and look patchy. So a finger is the only way to go, in my opinion. I'm making it sound like it's a difficult product. It's just, I think it just works the best in that way specifically. But this is the most unique kind of glow. I have never seen another highlighter like this one. And lastly is the iconic London Rollaway Glow Liquid Highlighter. It's a very interesting packaging where it's like literally a roller ball. If you literally want to summon aliens, signal to aliens to come pick you up from Earth. This is the highlight. Like, are you seeing that? That is insane. This is almost like too glowy for me, which, like, there can never be too much glow in my opinion, but this is like, whoa, like literally just like a dab will cover my whole cheek and like then some. If you don't mind glitter or super, super blinding highlights and you want something that's liquid that's actually going to sit down and not budge, not disrupt your makeup, not feel oily, this is an amazing, amazing highlighter. I have 4 blushes to talk about, and to no one's surprise, they're all creams and liquids. If you came to this video looking for cruelty-free powder products, I'm sorry to disappoint. I am not that girly. You are not going to get all of the good powder recommendations from me. I'm wearing like all creams and liquids on my face right now. Starting off with undeniably like my favorite cream blush formula ever. And I've spoken about this so many times. The Tower 28 Beach Please cream blushes. This one in Dream Hour is my favorite cool tone pink blush ever. The shade range in this line is perfect. It's the perfect finish. It's a satin natural finish. So even if you have oily skin, I think you will like these because these grip to your skin. They're not too creamy and emollient where your face is just going to eat them up immediately. They're very pigmented, so I think that deeper skin tones, this is actually going to show up on you. And this is one of the only lip and cheek formulas that actually works on the lips and that I like wearing this on the lips as well. I've also spoken about this one, but the Milk Makeup Lip and Cheek Sticks. This is my favorite red blush still in the shade Flip. I have spoken about this specific blush many, many a time. This is the least long wearing formula that I'm going to be talking about, but this is also the best if you love that minimal makeup, super natural, just like if you want to look like a juicy apple. This formula and also this specific color, again, in Flip, like do you see that juiciness, that dewiness? They also smell kind of like Jolly Ranchers. They also work well on the lips, but it's more of like a balm that lasts like an hour. This is definitely not going to last well on the lips. Next are these Say Dew blushes. You guys, just do you see that? Do you see how juicy and gel-like and just like I just want to like eat it. This is the most juicy liquid blush I've ever tried, but somehow it does not disrupt your makeup. I don't know how they did it, but the way that the pigment is suspended in this formula does not feel oily. It does not just move around all over the face. Like your face will have like some tack to it, but not so much so that if it's windy outside or if you're like moving your head around, your hair isn't going to stick to it. Like it's just a super easy to use, extremely user-friendly gel-like formula. I'm wearing Baby today on top of the Huda Beauty Coco Loco blush filter. But that's giving me like a little bit of extra glow alongside that Rare Beauty highlighter. So Baby, Chilly, and Flirty. And then, of course, I had to talk about Huda Beauty's blush filters. This one in Coco Loco, I'm wearing more so on the back of my face, and then I'm wearing Say Baby more so like on my cheekbones. Those two in combination, bellissima. Now, when you swatch these and you look really, really closely, you will see tiny, tiny little glitters, but once you apply it to the face, you will not see the glitters at all. They do not look flat. They have just a very super, super subtle glow to them without being glittery, without being greasy. This is going to be my #1 recommendation of blushes for oily skin. This is one of the longest wearing blush formulas I've ever tried. It is super thin, super undetectable. The only downside is I will say you have to blend this out pretty quickly. Next is powder, and I only have 3 powders, and these are basically the only 3 powders that you've ever seen me use on this channel. Starting off with my original First Love for a translucent setting powder. It has to be the One Size Ultimate Blurring Setting Powder. I have the shade Translucent. This is so blurring, so smoothing, just will literally press your makeup onto your face where it will not move. I've swam with this powder on, and even when it gets wet, it doesn't break up or leave any weird textures or spottiness in my makeup. If you want to bake or if you need something that's super long wearing, this is my #1 recommendation. I will say if you have very fine lines underneath the eyes, a lot of wrinkles, a lot of folds or texture, I don't recommend this one for underneath the eyes. Another translucent setting powder that is just so tea, and yes, it is expensive, but it is worth the money, is the Hourglass Veil Translucent Setting Powder. I did get the travel size, so this travel size is $25. The full size is way more expensive, but honestly, this is the softest, thinnest, silkiest, undetectable powder ever. The only thing is this is not the type of powder that's going to add any kind of coverage or brightness underneath the eyes or anywhere on the face. So if you need a little bit more coverage, or if you like more of that creamy look to your skin, this is not going to give this to you. The one size is translucent, but because it has more substance, it will give you like a little bit of coverage. This is not one of those things. This is going to just enhance the texture and smooth out everything. So airy, so light, amazing for dry skin as well. And I couldn't talk about powder without mentioning my favorite powder of all time, the Kosas Cloud Set. As you see, I've hit pan on this mini size. I've completely gone through the domed part of this product. This is super soft, silky, creamy. Like if you want your skin to look creamy, soft, matte, airbrushed, this powder is just the best. I can use this to set my under eyes, and that's almost unheard of for a pressed powder specifically. This is my favorite pressed powder. It's just that good. Like, I can't say anything bad about this powder. I have 2 setting sprays to talk about. I currently don't have either of these in my collection, but they do have my stamp of approval, trust. The first one is the Cali Ray Surf Proof Setting Spray. Now, I am very, very, very picky specifically when it comes to setting spray, so this one does have fragrance in the ingredient list, which I don't like, but it is like the second to last, or like 2 from the last of the ingredient list. So there's a very small amount of fragrance in this product. So I do still recommend this, even if you have sensitive skin. The fragrance like does not linger at all. But this is such a good setting spray because it feels mattifying when you spray it on. Like it kind of feels like a all-nighter like original setting spray, but it doesn't feel tightening at all. It doesn't change the finish, but it makes your skin look smooth. And this is so good for summer. I've swam with this setting spray on. I've sweat. I've cried with that setting spray on. And specifically for powder products, it just makes them melt in and look more seamless. And my other recommendation is the Milk Makeup Hydra Grip Dewy Setting Spray. This isn't too dewy. I've definitely used dewier setting sprays, so don't let that dissuade you or scare you. It's not glittery, or like you're not going to look like a disco ball when you're wearing this setting spray, but this has an incredible ingredient list. No fragrance, no alcohol, a bunch of really good for you fruit extracts. I don't know how they did it, but an impeccable formula. Is my #1 recommendation for setting spray at Sephora. And specifically, it's great to use in place of an actual face primer, and also in between steps if you want that really long wearing kind of effect. I only have 2 products for eyebrows. I'm very, very picky with eyebrows, and honestly, I just don't think that you need to go to Sephora to get a good brow routine. Most of the stuff on there feels very overpriced to me. But I will recommend to you both the tinted and the clear version of the Kosas Air Brow. I have gone through so many tubes of the tinted version of the Kosas Air Brow. If you're looking for a one and done kind of eyebrow gel or just eyebrow product, something that's going to fill in the spaces in your eyebrows while also setting and laying them down, that is the best eyebrow product for that. And the clear version, it is marketed as like a laminating brow gel. I don't agree with that, but both versions, the tinted and the clear, are the best brow products to add texture and add volume, whether you're going for the bushy brow look or if you have thin brows and you want to add more volume and texture. Both of those formulas are the best for that. But of course, I had to shout out my Rare Beauty Laminating Lifting and Flexible Hold Brow Gel. I am almost out of this one. This is my second one. This is the eyebrow gel I'm wearing today. As you can see, it lays down the hair so flat to my face. So if that is the look that you're going for, or if that is something that you need, if you also have very coarse, unruly brows that just like to pop up, especially at the tail ends, this is so good. It does not leave a white cast. It does not flake. It does not feel crunchy at all. I literally can't feel anything. It is truly translucent and clear, and for that reason, it is simply the best. Let's talk about eyeshadow. I do want to shout out an eyeshadow primer, but I will say I truly do not believe you need to go to Sephora to get an eyeshadow primer. But if you are set on doing so, I recommend the Too Faced Shadow Insurance. It gives a little bit of coverage, but the way that this shines is that it is the best for oily eyelids. If you struggle with eye primers, still not keeping your oils controlled, like halfway through the day, you're starting to crease and your oils are coming through no matter what you do, this one is so legit. It almost can make your eyelids feel like a little too dry and like sucked in and parched. But for oily eyelids, it is absolutely the best. But for actual eyeshadow, I do not think you will be disappointed and Huda Beauty's eyeshadow palettes. I have one currently. This is the Naughty Nude eyeshadow palette. If you want different textures, creams, cream to powders, silky mattes, like if you love to play with all those different kind of textures on the eyes, Huda Beauty is the way to go. One of my favorite formulas that she does is one of these. This is like a swirled cream to powder matte eyeshadow. It is so long wearing, perfect for a base to put powder eyeshadows on top. And her shimmery kind of formulas like are just molten gold. Her color stories always are just so interesting and cohesive, and specifically if you are someone of a deeper skin tone, she's got something for you. I just think like she really curates and thinks very thoughtfully about her eyeshadow palettes. And lastly is Natasha Denona. I am a huge Natasha Denona fan of her eyeshadows. I am wearing all shades of her mini eye sculpt palette today on my eyes to do this very soft, sultry kind of winged halo eye. I did use this in last week's video if you want to see actual in-depth, like showing you using these shadows. I will say, compared to Huda Beauty, her color stories are not as deep, dark skin friendly. But you go to Natasha Denona for the textures as well, specifically for the shimmers, the toppers, the sparkly shades. You don't really go to Natasha Denona so much for the mattes. The mattes are decent, but they're not amazing. I've definitely tried better mattes from like indie brands, and honestly, you can get just as good mattes from the drugstore. But specifically, if you like playing with shimmers, metallics, topper shades, you will not be disappointed in Natasha Denona's quality. Her mattes blend seamlessly. This is an extremely easy, even easier than Huda Beauty, I would dare to say, formula to work with. Great for beginners, especially this very nifty little 5-pan palette. I do want to talk about my eyeliner recommendations. I have two formulas to talk about, starting off with my favorite eyeliner formula still to this day. This has always been my favorite for probably like a good 6 years. The KVD Vegan Beauty Tattoo Liners are still the best liquid liners I've ever tried. I have the mini sizes in Trooper Black and also Mad Max Brown. I have them swatched right here. They are super budge proof. They do not bleed. They don't like feather out into all like the lines of your face or your hands, and they are the best for the inner corner wing. They will not budge even if you cry, sweat, whatever. These are the most long wearing but also super user friendly. They glide on easily. There's never any skipping. They're pigmented, full pigment, actually black. They don't look gray or anything. Can't say enough good things about these. My other favorite is a newer favorite, and it is the Urban Decay 24/7 ergonomic liquid eyeliners. This component makes it incredibly easy to do your eyeliner, so I love the packaging of these. I have two shades, the black one in 0 and also this very cool lime green in the shade Freak. You're going to get a different kind of tip, felt tip or brush tip, depending on what color that you get. So for a lot of the colorful ones, they give you a felt tip, and then for the neutral ones, they'll give you a brush tip. The only downside of this eyeliner is specifically with this black one, because I've used it so much, but I haven't had it that long, only a couple months in my collection. This is already starting to dry out, and I do have to like go over the same line. So unfortunately, I kind of feel like you would run through these if you're using it like every single day like I was. For mascara, I only have two options. Starting off with the Tower 28 Make Waves mascara. I have the brown shade in Drift. This is one of the most budge-proof, sweat-proof, transfer-proof mascaras I've ever tried. It is a drier formula, which I personally prefer in my mascaras. And I've sweat in this, I've swam in this, and you will get like 2 little flakes that come off over the course of like 10 hours, and that's it. The only con to this mascara is this dries out way quicker than any other mascara I've ever had. But it's getting to the point where it's like hard to apply because it is so dry. And I've only had this a couple months. And yes, I know after 3 months, we're supposed to throw out our mascaras, but I'm not using this every day. So this little tube isn't being opened and being exposed to air every day, and somehow it is still like almost dried out. And my other recommendation is an old favorite, the Rare Beauty Universal Volumizing Mascara. This is a wet formula, so I do not recommend this for the lower lashes. I always would smudge this all over my concealer, even if it was set. So I only recommend this for the top lashes, but if you want that super volumized, like Monsieur Big from Lancome kind of effect to your lashes, this is a great volumizing mascara. And it gets better with time. As it dries out a little bit, it just gets even more of that perfect consistency. We're going to end the video, of course, with my lip recommendations, starting off with lip liner. I want to talk about the lip liner that I'm wearing. This is a newer discovery. You guys, I've only had this lip liner for 5 weeks. Tell me why my Glossier lip line looks like this already. Like, compared to my Rare Beauty lip liner, like, I have used this one way more than I thought. Like, I will say, I do feel like I have to sharpen this one like a lot. Like every single time I use it, I feel like I have to sharpen it. Honestly, I don't think this one is a necessity because this is basically the NYX Line Loud lip pencil. But the shades in the Glossier lip line are just chef's kiss. They are the perfect nude. Like, this is the perfect everyday nude. This is in the shade Buff. It gives you that blurred lip kind of look. It's not going to give you a super crisp edge, but these do set down. They do feel like very creamy, almost like a whipped mousse kind of texture, but they do set down. And speaking of the Fenty Beauty pencils, of course, I had to include them. I'm running through these ones as well. Just like the Glossier shade range, the Fenty Beauty shade range, you will have a nude for every single skin tone, like ever. I love the nudes in this line. This is going to give you that crisp edge. However, out of all 3 formulas I'm talking about, this one is the least user-friendly because it is so creamy. I do find that I need to be extra careful and take my time and not have a shaky hand when it comes to these. So that is the only downside. But again, they are super creamy, but they do set down. And even when I'm eating greasy food, these last. And I couldn't recommend lip liners without recommending possibly my favorite lip liner, definitely my favorite lip liner sold at Sephora, the Rare Beauty lip liner in Wise. I don't even know like the full name of it because I've completely rubbed off the lettering. This is my second one, and she is well loved. She is also the only twist up pencil that I'm recommending. The other 2 formulas are sharpenable. This is the most user-friendly formula. It is slightly waxy while still having a good grip to the lips. However, this is not the one that is going to last through a crab boil. It's just not. The other 2 are gonna do like really well, and you're still gonna have some remnants of it after the crab boil. This one is gonna clock out early, but she is the most affordable and the easiest to apply. So do with that what you will. So here we have Rare Beauty Wise, Fenty Beauty Rubber Bands, Fenty Beauty Extra Thigh and Glossier Buff, which is the lip liner I'm wearing today. On to the glossy lip category. So this is going to include lip glosses, lip oils, and lip balms. This first product I don't currently have in my collection, but this is the most underrated lip product I've ever tried. I never hear anyone talk about the Rare Beauty Stay Vulnerable Glossy Lip Balms. Underrated as fuck. And for why? Because this is basically my favorite beloved Rem Beauty Glossy Balms, but even thicker. They give you that extremely shiny, occlusive glass lip if you want your lips to look like almost fake. Can't sing high enough praises for that one. Definitely check it out if you have crusty dry lips. These Fenty Beauty Gloss Bomb Oils are technically limited edition. These two colors are still available at Sephora. They just need to make these permanent because this is my favorite lip oil formula ever. And I'm not even a fan of lip oils. I am currently wearing the shade Frosted Buns. I'll apply a little bit more on camera. I was like, why not? First of all, these smell like some kind of cinnamon sugar treat, like cinnamon buns adjacent. So good. Super glittery and shiny, but not gritty. Like, you see that. I know you saw that, but you cannot feel the little glitter particles at all. And this is the only lip oil formula that doesn't bleed outside of the lips, that doesn't disrupt my lip liner or anything I have underneath that creates like any like feathering or like smudging outside the lip line. The other lip oils that I have in my collection, they all do that, except this one. And my last glossy lip recommendation is a fan favorite. I know you've already heard people talk about the Lawless Forget the Filler lip plumping line smoothing glosses. I have the shade Velvet, which is like a milky, kind of like lavendery kind of shade, like a milky pink. These do have a slight scent, but it's kind of fruity, kind of minty, somewhere in between. This is also going to give you that super glassy, juicy look to the lips. Completely smooths your lips, like no lines whatsoever. And call me crazy, but I feel like the more and more I wear this, like the more that even when I'm not wearing this, like my lips are smooth. I will say my gripe with the shade range in this is that most of the shades end up looking the same. I've tried 3 different shades and they basically all look clear or all kind of like milky / wash me out. I don't really love the shades that I've tried. Woo! I hope you're still here. I hope you grabbed a snack and are still with us. On to lipsticks / liquid lipsticks. This is our last category. The first one I currently do not have in my collection. I did declutter this, but not because the formula or the colors were bad. It's just because I am not a lipstick girly. I am clearly always going to be a lip liner and a gloss kind of girl. So therefore, that's why I don't have the Merit Signature Lip Satin Lipstick. I used to have the shade Baby. The shades in this line, just immaculate, like Michelangelo could never. They're very thin, very creamy. They don't bunch up. They don't crumble. They don't look dry at all. Next recommendation is the Freck Beauty Makeout Club Soft Blur Lipstick. I have the shade Main Character. I want you to see. I've used a good bit of this lipstick. This is one of the best matte lipsticks I've ever tried. It is that very blurry kind of formula where like if you don't really want like edges to be visible with your lip, it is very matte and very silky, almost like silicone-y feeling, but it does not emphasize the lines of your lips at all. And last recommendation for my cruelty-free makeup guide for Sephora is the Urban Decay Vice Bond Glossy Longwear Liquid Lipstick. That's such a mouthful. I have the shade Raw Footage. I did wear this in my holiday makeup with a twist tutorial. If you did not see that, go check that out. That is the lip that I'm wearing in that video. And I don't recommend this if you don't like a shiny, almost latex looking on the lips. Very similar to like the NYX Shine Loud liquid lipsticks, except this one doesn't have like the sealer. These are extremely pigmented, very full coverage, and very long wearing. I've eaten the most greasy, foods, burger, pizza, fries, all that kind of stuff with this on, and it does not bunch and it does not flake off like unevenly. If anything, it'll just fade on like the inside part of your lips that's touching those surfaces the most. Those were all my recommendations. I would love to know, what are your favorite cruelty-free makeup recommendations from Sephora? Are any of these your favorites? Let me know in the comments down below. And if you want more Get Ready With Me's tutorials, reviews, and other makeup things, then like, comment, subscribe. I'm sending you guys so much love and light. And I will see you in the next one.